What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and Special Operations 14 has gone live. Of course, this Spec Ops ties into the new Thor film that's going to be in theaters. Spec Ops is definitely my favorite part of the game, and there's tons of updates in this one. In fact, there are so many updates that I'm going to have to make this a two-part video just on the overview alone. First, we're going to take a look at the chapter info and some of the reward weapons. Then we're going to take a look at the task list as well. The weapon from Mission 1 is called Destruction. It has burn resistance, removes a buff, and has Scorched Earth. While burning, gains a follow-up attack, and follow-up attack adds burning. So this weapon looks decent, it's kind of interesting, but nothing really jumps out at me right away. So moving on to the task list, there of course is 25 tasks, just like always. The very first item on the task bar is of course the first research item. It's called the Dark Elf Mask. It has 1,617 offense and defense. So if your armory rating is kind of low, and you're unable to get 2 gold items, this could be a pretty good alternative. Next, the very first weapon that we'll receive is called the Stone Golem Club, and it has an effect called Splintering Stone, chance to cause damage to additional targets. So this sounds like a splash damage sort of effect. And if it doesn't interest you, it does have pretty decent offensive and defensive stats as well for the armory. Next, we gain the blueprint for the Eclipse. It damages one enemy, has True Strike, Targeted, and then Incapacitation. Next, we have the first of 4 set items for the Dark Defiance set. This item is called the Watcher's Blade. It has at the ready 50% chance when attacked to reset the cooldown of Horn of Wisdom and make it a quick action. Now, I'm not sure what the Horn of Wisdom is, but making anything a quick action is always beneficial. And the other interesting buff is Final Stand. It's activated when an ally has been downed, and it states that Algrim's Rage no longer requires Invigorated before performing a follow-up attack. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out what that means as well. Now, the best part of the Special Operations, of course, is the character. And this time it's Heimdall. I was actually right about his class this time. He is a bruiser. And he has Asgardian, so he's immune to burning, chilled, poison, and radiation. And he also has Farsight. Most enemy attacks cannot be stealthy. And he has a chance to negate preemptive counterattacks. So take that, Quicksilver and Magneto. And I actually feel kind of bad for Union Jack. As far as his abilities, we'll take a look at that right after we see the other mission rewards. So Mission 2 does have the epic boss. And one of the rewards is the Seduction. It's a stealthy item. It causes Disoriented as well as Mind Control. And by now we know how amazing those 2 abilities can be, and also they're a lot of fun. Next up we have the Darkness item. I assume this comes from the epic boss. It targets all enemies and places 2 new debuffs on them. The first is called Permeating Gloom, and the next is Enveloping Shadows. It reduces defense and evasion, drains stamina, and stacks up to 3 times. Now that seems pretty helpful since evasion is kind of out of control right now. And lastly for Mission 2, the epic boss is Malekith. He is an infiltrator and he has Shadow Growth as a passive. This says Malekith's attacks have a chance to cause blind, chance to apply disoriented to targets with blind, and chance to apply Shadow Graph to targets with disoriented. Now moving on to mission number 3. Mission 3 is called A Fool's Redemption, and the reward weapon is called the Shadow. The Shadow has True Strike, Piercing Haze, which reduces accuracy, and is consumed by Permeating Gloom for additional damage. And then it also has Enveloping Shadows. So it's pretty awesome that it reduces evasion and defense. As far as the drain stamina part, we'll have to see how much it drains, and see how useful that is. Now for the last part of the first overview video, we're going to take a look at Heimdall and all of his abilities. First off, he looks pretty cool. He of course looks just like his movie self, and that's why he's the modern version. I'm also happy that he's a bruiser, and that I was finally right about a character's class. His level 1 ability is called Hofund, and it is a melee slashing attack that has deadly crits and Finest Hour. And I actually love Finest Hour abilities, so he's going to fit right in with a lot of characters. His second ability is called Vigilance, and it's subtle and is a quick action that works on all enemies. It places off balance or has a 50% chance to, as well as winded. And then he gains Eternal Vigilant, chance to prevent enemy attacks. So that could be very useful depending on the proc rate. Next, his level 6 Uru Blade hits all enemies, causes wide open, tenderized, and staggered. And it's looking like stagger is going to be a really important debuff in the future. You actually may want to start building your team with someone or a weapon that has staggered. And that's in large part due to the Synthetic Cube and the Vigilante Toolkit. Lastly, his level 9, I have no idea how to pronounce, but it has something called Call to Asgard, transports combatants to the Bifrost Bridge. I have no idea what this means, at least as far as the game is concerned. Secondly, it grants Sound the Alarm, so agile, focused, fortified, and strengthened. And this is going to be absolutely amazing with characters that have finest hour attacks, or something like the Ionic Sledge. And that's going to be it for the first part of the overview, but there will be a second part as well. There were just way too many updates to cover in one video, so I decided to split it into 2 parts. And I will leave a link on the screen as well as in the description. So please check out part 2 as well. And thank you all for watching.